Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 6 p.m. here in Cairo. This is Shuruq Bakir, and I'll accompany you through the latest development on the national and international arenas. But first, we're going to start with the headlines, followed with the details. President Sisi chairs follow-up meeting of water file and irrigation projects nationwide. Foreign Minister Abdelati holds a phone call with his German counterpart on regional issues. And Norway to provide Ukraine with new air defense systems. Welcome back. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi met today with Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation Rania Al-Mashat, Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation Hani Swilam, to review the general water situation nationwide, water needs and availability for agricultural and drinking water projects, as well as the status of several ongoing projects. During the meeting, the President followed up on the new Delta projects and developments on the collection and transfer of agricultural draining water to the new Delta treatment plant. The meeting also tackled the National Water Resources and Irrigation Plan Water Security for All 2025, with aims to rationalize water consumption, improve water quality, and develop water resources. President Sisi praised efforts by Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation to support Egypt's water security and directed to continue investment in modernizing water irrigation system and enhance reliance on modern technology and smart water management. The General Commander of the Armed Forces and Minister of Defense, General Abdelmegid Sakr, met with a number of combatants for the Western Military Region. The meeting was attended by Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Ahmed Khalifa, commanders of the main branches, and a number of commanders of the Armed Forces. The meeting comes in line with meetings held by the General Commander of the Armed Forces to communicate with fighters and ensure their combat readiness. The Minister of Defense stressed keenness that the combatants with the Western Military Region reach the highest level of combat readiness to carry out the tasks assigned to them to defend the homeland. The Armed Forces announced the launch of the Bright Star 2025 drills, the 19th edition of the region's largest multinational military exercises, co-hosted with the United States, set to take place in Egypt from August 28th to the 10th of September. The drills brings together 43 countries, deploying more than 7,900 combat troops, with 30 other countries joining as observers. The Bright Star maneuvers are designed to enhance combat readiness and showcase Egypt's capacity to host large-scale operations. Minister of Foreign Immigration and Egyptian Expatriates Affairs Badr Abdelati stressed on the necessity that the international community must exert its utmost efforts to put an end to the Israelis' blatant violations and crimes in Gaza Strip. Foreign Minister expressed his great concern over the humanitarian situations in the Strip. This came during a phone call with his German counterpart, John Watfall, on the latest regional development, topping of which is the catastrophic humanitarian situations in Gaza. The meeting tackled the Egyptian efforts to ensure the entry of aid to Gaza and the current preparations for the International Conference for Early Recovery and Reconstruction in Gaza that will Egypt host immediately after reaching a ceasefire agreement. Meanwhile, Foreign Minister Abdelati asserted that Israel must respond to the ceasefire proposal, warning Israel from expanding its military operation in the Strip. The entry of humanitarian and relief aid trucks into Gaza Strip resumed today within the framework of continuous efforts to alleviate the suffering of the Palestinians in the Strip. The Egyptian Red Crescent announced the launch of the 21st aid convoy of Zed al-Izza from Egypt to Gaza. The convoy included about 205 trucks carrying 3,500 tons of food, medical and relief aid, heading to South Gaza through Karm Abu Salim crossing. Israeli occupation troops killed 5 Palestinians in Gaza. One of the victims was killed while seeking to receive food aid at a distribution site north of Rafah, while across others were injured at the site. 3 others were killed and others injured by Israeli occupation fire at a food aid distribution site in Nistarim Axis in the center of the Gaza Strip. A Palestinian woman was also killed when Israeli occupation strikes targeted a school shelter refugees in Al Zaytun district to the east of Gaza City. Israeli occupation strikes targeted many areas in East Gaza City and destroyed a number of buildings south of the city. Gaza's health ministry said 64 Palestinians were killed and 278 others injured over the past 24 hours by Israeli occupation strikes. It reported 8 deaths in the past 24 hours due to malnutrition, including a child. Israeli settlers broke into Al-Aqsa Mosque compound on Sunday under heavy occupation police protection. They conducted protective Talmudic rituals and dances in the mosque's compound. Israeli former Defense Minister Benny Gantz on Saturday called on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to forge a unity government along with members of the opposition in a bid to help release the hostages held in Gaza. Gantz proposed a temporary coalition that would sidestep far-right parties and strike a hostages release deal. Netanyahu's coalition government depends on support from far-right members who oppose ending the war and making any deal with Hamas. Thousands of Australians joined pro-Palestinian rallies to strain relations between Israel and Australia following the center-left government's decision to recognize a Palestine state. More than 40 protests took place across Australia and around 350,000 attended the rallies nationwide, including around 50,000 in Brisbane and Sydney. Organizers said Australians were out in force to demand an end to the genocide in Gaza and to demand that Australia's government should impose sanctions on Israel. Syria's first parliamentary election under its new administration, scheduled for September, will not include the southern province of Suaida and 2 other provinces due to the security concerns, according to the Electoral Commission. Details in the following report.
Syria's first parliamentary election under its new administration, scheduled for September, will not include the southern province of Suaida and other 2 provinces due to security concerns, according to the Electoral Commission. Hundreds of people were reported killed in July in clashes in Suaida, pitting Druze fighters against Bedouin tribes, and government forces were sent to the city to quell the unrest. Next month's ballot will also be delayed in the northern Hasaka and Raqqa provinces, parts of which are mostly controlled by the Kurdish Syria Democratic Forces, until there is a safe environment. A spokesperson for the Higher Committee for People's Assembly elections said that seats allocated to the 3 provinces will remain vacant until elections can be held there. The decision drew criticism from Kurdish authorities. The Democratic Autonomous Administration of North and East Syria said in a statement on Sunday that these elections are not democratic and do not express the will of the Syrians in any way. It identified that safety was a valid reason to exclude the provinces, saying they were considered safe compared to other areas. The head of the Electoral Commission said last month that voting for the 210-member People's Assembly was due to take place between September 15th and 20th.
And back to Ukraine, where Ukrainian drone attacks overnight on several Russia's power and energy facilities forced capacity reduction at the Kursk nuclear power asset. Russia's officials said today that a drone attack on the Kursk nuclear plant political conference expected early next year. The southern Chinese city of Sanya renewed for seafront resorts and sandy beaches braced for an intensifying typhoon Kajiki. The National Meteorological Center said that the tropical cyclone was about 200 kilometers southeast of Sanya. Sanya issued a red typhoon alert today morning, the highest in China's color-coded warning system, and raised its emergency response to the most severe level. Welcome back, and now moving to the economy and business, where Egypt's bourse closed hard today, aimed at purchases by local investors against sell-offs by local Arab and foreign investment funds and corporations. The market capital of listed companies added 8 billion Egyptian pounds, reaching 2.4 trillion pounds at the end of the transactions that stood at 4.9 billion pounds. The benchmark index EGX 30 rose 0.35% above the 35,800 point mark. The equal weighted indices EGX 70 and EGX 100 climbed 0.38%. Chairman of the Suez Canal Authority, Osman Rabia, said that the global shipbuilding and repair market faced major challenges after recommendations by the International Maritime Organization to go ahead with the transition for green energy in operating ships and maritime units. Suez Canal Authority Chairman was speaking during a meeting with a delegation of Hyundai Corporation to review means to enhance joint cooperation. Talks also covered means to advance joint projects in the clean energy field, including a project to modernize the authority's shipyard and develop facilities for eco-friendly vessels. And moving to the sports, where the Hungary's Marton Fucsovics captured his third ATP title, holding the Potek van de Zand Sculp 6-3-7-6 in the final of the tournament in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, in the final tune-up for the U.S. Open, which starts on Sunday in New York. 33-year-old Fucsovics.